Hi VC, Dale Gatefold 33 back with another video, and this is going to be a finds video. Yeah, I've found so much stuff in 2025 and not been making many videos, so I've got loads of stuff to share, but I thought I'd share a few records today to get back into the swing of it and maybe come back with more soon in the future. But before I start this video, I probably need to address the elephant in the room, or the room in the elephant perhaps in this case. So those of you who've watched my videos for a while will probably recognize this isn't where I normally film videos from, and those of you who will follow my videos for a while will know that I've been having this ongoing discussion, shall we call it, with my wife over the last couple of years, which has kind of influenced purging and culling that my record collection is kind of seeping out of the small bedroom into other parts of the house. And we've got 3 grandchildren now who might want to come to stay, so my wife is keen to turn the bedrooms back into bedrooms, not record storage and record listening rooms. So and she's been encouraging me to get a shed at the bottom of the garden, and I've been resisting and resisting and resisting. And you may therefore tell that I've lost the discussion, and I now have a shed at the bottom of the garden. I've been in it for about a month now. It's not quite right yet. There's no kind of pictures on the wall or anything like that yet. I haven't kind of worked out where things are going, but as it is now, so I've got like an office space back there with a 5x5 Expedit and some other stuff in the kind of gap between this and that, desk chair. So that's where I can go on the computer or work from home. Then here I've got 5x5 Kallax with another 5x5 Kallax backed onto it. So there's 2 5x5 Kallaxes there. And then let me just do a little tour. Here there's a couple of 2x2 Expedits with some, I've bought some bins to put on top for my 12-inch singles primarily. So they're sitting in there so I can flick through my 12-inch singles and my kind of main inbox. Don't know what I'm doing with that corner yet. There's the hi-fi and records. There's the door, the garden, the house. There's a big CD and DVD rack, and you're back with me. And hopefully this camera won't fall over now I've done that. Yeah, so that's broadly it. I'm in prime sitting down, listening to music. So far, what has happened is means because it's at the bottom of the garden, I'm listening to less music because I'm not coming down here as much. So I've got to work out a rhythm on that to make sure that I don't kind of just have this nice shed storing my records at the bottom of the garden. Anyway, so that's you up to date with me. I'm now going to have to work a few more years before I can retire to pay for this, but hey ho. Mrs. Gatefold 33 is happy-ish. Yeah, anyway, on with the video. And I'll probably be looking at my camera's the wrong way around to what I normally am, so I'm looking at the wrong end of the camera. So I'll now try and look in the lens, and let's do some finds. And let's start with a couple of new 2025 issues that aren't my normal small label synth independent type stuff that I show and probably none of you are interested in. These are a couple of popular releases, and they've kind of got a little bit of a theme between them. So first up is Baxter Jury's latest release, Alberoni, as he says it, Alberoni. This is so I bought his Night Chances album 2021, and it was probably, I think it might have been my album of the year. I like that mix of a sort of a good beat He has guest female sort of vocalists doing backing vocals. Baxter Dury doesn't really sing, he kind of talks over them in a menacing way, and often the subject matter is seedy, dark, underworld, and that's certainly what Night Chances was. This is a little bit more poppy, disco-y, but still has got that kind of slightly bleak, slightly seedy undertone. Alberoni, there's kind of, I'd say, a bit of a theme that some songs call back to other songs as you go through it. But yeah, really, really liking this. Yeah, I kind of got because, well, yeah, commuting to work a bit more now, and 3 days in the office instead of 2 days in the office. So I'm starting to sort of not listen entirely just to podcasts. I'm streaming some new releases and deciding if I want to buy them. And then this is one I streamed and did want to buy. As is this. This is Craig Finn. So Craig Finn from The Hold Steady. And this is his 6th studio album, but first solo studio album. First solo album of his I've bought. I've kind of dabbled, but never really pulled the trigger on any of his solo albums. Yeah, I was a big fan of The Hold Steady. I bought the Hold Steady releases right from the beginning on CD, played them in the car, the kids liked them. So this is a really interesting, again, a theme running throughout the songs on this album. I won't call it these two albums are not really concept albums, or maybe they are, but they certainly got a running theme going through them. This one is around kind of reflecting on your life and where you've lived, and have you lived your life to the full, and things that have gone on. And Craig Finn, I think, is a fantastic songwriter, modern songwriter, both with The Hold Steady and well, this album. Obviously, I can't speak for the others. And it always, again, slightly seedy, slightly dark, slightly kind of on the edge, life existence that I haven't experienced, but listening to the songs, it's something that it gets you thinking. And so, yeah, the really interesting album. This is produced by Adam Grandisiel, is it? From War on Drugs. So if you like War on Drugs and that big sound with that kind of chiming guitar, this has some of that production, not entirely, but some of that production. In fact, the first song, Bethany, it starts off as a kind of fairly standard kind of, not acoustic, but fairly standard instrument type song, and then about 2.5 minutes in, there's a big crashing War on Drugs full on oomph production comes in on that song for about 30 seconds a minute, and it returns back to the same kind of feel, and then they kind of say you get that War on Drugs sort of production at different times throughout, so you can definitely tell who's produced it, if you like, if you know War on Drugs sound. So yeah, really like this album, really enjoyed it. And yeah, so they're both, I think there's a lot of similarities between those two albums, and both of them, I listen to the lyrics, and I'm not a lyrics person. I'm a music person, and I like the music, but I find myself really listening to the lyrics on both those albums, but mainly on the Craig Finn album, certainly. So that's a couple of new releases that aren't my typical new releases from the labels that I follow or subscribe to. Next up are three car boot sale finds that I didn't need, but I couldn't leave behind. And there's a theme with these 3 records as well. So first up is this Otis Redding's Otis Blue, an original UK flip back mono press on the Purple Atlantic label. So yeah, I was going through a box of records at a fair. They were individually priced, and this one ended up costing me £8. So it's really nice cover. Normally I've found this record 2 or 3 times and the cover's always ripped for some reason. Yeah, so nice cover. Record is verging on excuse me, verging on VG Plus, I would say. A few little crackles and pops, but you know, it's an original from whatever it's 65, 66. So yeah, so sounds really good though. Mono press. The reason I don't need it is I've got the Otis Redding mono box with all the albums in mono. And I'm not going to break up that box, so I've now got an original, but you know, it's a nice thing to have. Exactly the same here. Was going through a couple of piles of really clean but really past their sell by date, as in stuff that was easy listening from the early 60s that really no one would be interested in, your typical charity shop stuff. But yes, a lovely, clean, pristine early 60s records, but nothing that had any kind of modern edge or interest. It wasn't rock, it wasn't folk, it wasn't R&B, you know, it was just, and it wasn't even lounge or anything like that. And then got towards the end, and you know, they're all 50 pence each, and I came across this Rolling Stones debut. Not my favorite Rolling Stones album, probably my least favorite Rolling Stones album, but it's nice and clean. Normally you find this album fairly frequently. It seems to be the most sort of frequent album I find, but you know, really clean. Normally Rolling Stones albums are beat to hell. This one has got, you know, virtually no spindle marks. It hasn't been listened to, so wasn't leaving that behind for 50 pence. However, I have the Rolling Stones mono box, which has this record in it, and I'm not going to split that up, so I don't need this record. So yeah, and then again another time, these are all 3 different sort of finds. There was a guy who had some records, again they were priced sort of around the £2, £3, £4 mark, and he had this in there, Kinks debut. Again, not my favorite Kinks album, probably my least favorite Kinks album. You know, it's got You Really Got Me on it, but I've got that on 7-inch, so I don't really need to have the album. And this, so slightly different on this one. This is a original stereo press on Pi, but I've got the Kinks mono box. I don't need this. It's not my favorite Kinks album, but again, I wasn't leaving it behind for I think it's £3. I wasn't leaving that behind for £3. So 3 common finds, if you like. 3 things I've bought that I didn't need, but I'm probably glad I bought them. Wasn't leaving them behind, certainly. Okay, this next, I've got 2 to go. Probably the most interesting 2. So this next one, I was going, my local charity shop, I pop in there every time I'm passing, and I'm normally passing 2 or 3 times a week because I'm either going to the supermarket or I'm going to the post office. So yeah, so I probably pop in there 2 or 3 times a week, and the people who run it, you know, both the manageresses, they kind of know me. Normally I just get my foot through the door, they're shaking their head at me, because I'll always say, got any records? No, we haven't got any records. So now we're just on kind of nodding terms. They just shake my head. So that's probably 99 times out of 100 that is the case. But I went in the summer and got there's some records in the corner sort of thing. So I went there. It was rubbish, but I was going through and I saw on the corner of one of the records the words Morgan Bluetown. So Morgan Bluetown record label released 3, as far as I can tell, released 3 albums in 1969, and only 3 albums. They seem to be associated with a bit more, and 2 of those albums go for £1,000 in nice condition. Yeah, Pussy Plays and Motherlight were 2 of the albums released on Morgan Bluetown number 002 and 003. However, 001 doesn't go for £1,000. So I saw Morgan Bluetown label. Which one did I find? Yeah, it was number one. This one. This is Pop Law According to the Academy. So this is the Academy, and so this is an original 1969, fairly rough, you know, G plus cover. There's the Morgan Bluetown label. Record is a strong VG, I would say. It's got some crackles and pops on it, but perfectly playable. The music is okay. It's okay. The music is, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. It's pop, folk, but with some jazz, sort of jazz leanings. There's some flute and sax on it. So, but it's not, yeah, it's not psych folk. It's not, yeah, so it's not sort of as perhaps out there as the other two albums that are on the Morgan Bluetown label. But nice to find. Again, for 50p, I wasn't leaving it behind. Not sure if I'll keep it, to be honest. I've played it a few times. There's a couple of songs on it that are a little bit out there. Or a little bit interesting. There's Munching the Candy is one. And She Returned Home is a nice kind of female-led, fairly kind of dark song, but the rest is just not that you know, exciting, but you know, I'll keep it for now and see how I grow into it. Okay, now finally, this record is one that I can't make my mind up on, and this, the cover, look at that, isn't that horrific? This is Inspiration and Follow That White Line. There's the band, 1975. You know, they look, you know, they look like 40-year-olds there, but yeah, I think they were 17 or 18-year-olds probably in 1975. Signed copy, found it at a car boot, couldn't do any research on it. Well, I kind of looked up Discogs. It's down as psychedelic rock, which means it commands a fair price. I paid a bit for it. I think I paid £10, something like that for it. A complete blind buy, just on the fact that it said psychedelic rock on it, and it's, you know, mint unplayed copy. There's the back of it. There's the back of it. So it is absolutely bonkers, the most bonkers album, and that's, you know, but I can't work out if it's bonkers good or bonkers bad. So it is, you know, it looks like, and probably is, it is an album by you know, a small local artist, cabaret, on the cabaret club scene, that does, you know, community centres and clubs and all of that, the weekends, doing covers in the 70s, probably a bit of country, a bit of glam, that kind of stuff. That's what it looks like, and that kind of what it is. But on this album, which they've obviously, it kind of says thanks to our parents who made this possible. So looks like maybe they come from and I did, you know, I looked up the address of the fan club, and it's quite on Google Earth and on the street view, and it's a nice street in the North Shields, nice area. So maybe nice middle class family. The parents paid for the kids to go to Fairview Studios in Hull and record this album. Fairview Studios did quite a lot of records for the sort of cabaret club set artists, I guess, to sell after their acts at sort of working men's clubs or community centres and that kind of thing. You know, and I remember when I was a kid, you know, probably in the early 70s, mid 70s, when I was probably, you know, 7 or 8, every now and again, you know, once or twice a year, we would get dragged, you know, or taken to the community centre, the local community centre on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and tables have been arranged around. There's a bit of a dance floor in the middle, and they'd have a band on that would say play, you know, covers of, you know, Shawaddy Waddy and Tie Yellow Ribbon Run and all that kind of thing. And this is what this is. I mean, this has got, you know, it starts off with Sing and I Believe in Music. It's got Sim Salabim, Morning Has Broken, you know, Jambalaya, Your Song, etc. But it's got some self-penned things as well. White Line Prelude, Followed That White Line, The Green Is Wearing Thin, and then and they're all done. Basically, they just go to town on it. You know, it's got some organ synthesizers for 75. You know, it's got organ synthesizers. You know, obviously drums, guitar, bass, rhythm stuff, and all that. But yeah, the drumming is all over the place. I'm not a musician, but the drumming is all over the place. There's this synth and stuff, and then the most bonkers of this is track 4 on side 1, the Dam Busters March. They do the Dam Busters March. It's about a 6-minute Dam Busters March. First sort of 2 minutes or so is Dam Busters March played on a Wurlitzer organ, instrumental. Then there comes in it's sort of a break. There's lots of drum breaks, and it's because of drumming as well as places. There's lots of drum breaks. I don't know whether they're good breaks or bad breaks, but there's drum breaks. Anyway, stops at about 2 minutes of the Wurlitzer version of the Dam Busters March. Then it comes in sound effects, you know, ACAC guns, air raid sirens, the sound of a plane. So you got that goes on for nearly 3 minutes, and then for the last minute, the Wurlitzer comes back in on the Dam Busters March. Absolutely mad mix of cheesy cabaret covers and with sort of some random kind of musicianship. So yeah, so I don't know if I'm recommending this or not, but it's just it's a head scratcher when you listen to it. Say it's so terrible potentially that it's good. So I'm certainly keeping it for interest. So anyway, that's a quick finds video to get myself back into the swing of finds videos. Yeah, I'll be back with some more stuff soon. Cheers, bye.